So Mike effing White, unfortunately, will not be the starting quarterback for the New York Jets this Sunday. Now, I had an entire video already done and prepped that gave a prediction as to what I thought the Jets were capable of achieving um, with Mike White at the helm. I must admit, it has now changed. Again, this right here was the score prediction I had on the last video, and now I'm changing it. Our starting quarterback this Sunday is Zach Wilson. And I want to be clear. I think Mike White gives this team the best opportunity to win this season. I know the term franchise quarterback keeps getting thrown around. I don't even think Mike White is a franchise quarterback. I think Mike White is an NFL caliber starting quarterback. And that to me is why I feel for the remainder of the season, he would have been the best fit. Gives Zach a chance to reset, whatever the case might be. Nevertheless, we're here. Zach Wilson is our starting quarterback for Sunday, and that means he's my QB1. So, can the Jets go ahead and win this game? Because in all actuality, every game from now on is a playoff game for the New York Jets. Let's talk about it.
I can do it all, I will never fall. It's the Renaissance, you know that I got the mother sauce, man. You know I'm the boss, I know what it costs. Have you won a loss? I'm so versatile, yeah, I'm a Renaissance, man. I can do it all, I will never fall. It's the Renaissance, you know that I got the mother sauce, man. You know I'm the boss, I know what it costs. Have you won a loss? I'm so versatile, yeah, I'm a Renaissance, man.
Congratulations, brother.
And here we the Jets really needed this win against Buffalo. We did. Had to have it, I think. I think it's one of those things where now it puts us in a situation to where every game we play from now on to the end of the season means we got to win these games. Now, I got to say something. I think we still need to remember the fact that the New York Jets right now are a year ahead of the rebuild. The majority, 99.9% of Jets fans, the organization themselves, analysts, everyone, they were under the impression that this was a rebuild year. The Jets had new pieces, a bunch of rookies, some veteran pieces spread around, and the true push to be considered relevant for the playoffs would possibly be 2 to 3 years down the road. We did not expect the transcendent growth of, Garrett Wilson, the transcendent growth of Sauce Gardner, the transcendent growth of a Breece Hall to get us to a point where in December of 2022, the New York Jets are still in the conversation, believe it or not, to win the AFC East. Now, granted, with the loss to the Buffalo Bills, those chances have almost all but disappeared. I will say this, though. That was a good game. That was a good game because we realized that there isn't a team right now in the NFL the Jets can't go toe-to-toe with. And we're realizing this really when we're inept at the quarterback position, which is arguably the most important position in football. So the Bills couldn't move the ball until Q got hurt. Quentin Williams gets hurt. They finally start moving the ball. And even with that aspect, they needed our help to make a couple of mental errors, right, in order to get there. The Jets still had a chance to win this game. We saw a drive after, of course, Mike White got folded in half like a freaking taco, comes back out, leads a scoring drive, then starts leading another scoring drive. And, of course, Michael Carter fumbles the ball, which ended it right there and then. It was a good game. It was a good game. And I think the game proved to us that if we can get average quarterback play at the quarterback position, average starting quarterback play, the New York Jets have a chance in this league to beat anyone. Why? That defense is elite. We have an elite defense. I don't know right now, statistically speaking, it says we're a top 5 defense, but I'm sorry. I think the New York Jets have the best defense. No, wait. The 49ers. The 49ers have the best defense in the league, but I think the New York Jets are a very close second. And so with that said, we arrive to this point. The New York Jets have 4 games left in the season, and the Detroit Lions are up this Sunday. Now, Detroit Lions have been on a tear. They've been balling out. They have literally shocked a lot of people. But it isn't because their defense is elite, right? Although they've shown us over the last few games, they're able to do some damage in slowing down or stopping the run. You see them slow down the likes of Dalvin Cook, Saquon Barkley, and the running back from Jacksonville. He escapes me at the moment, but the running back from Jacksonville, the first rounder they picked when they drafted Trevor Lawrence. That's going to frustrate me a little bit. But anyway, they've slowed those guys down dramatically over the last few weeks. Where they're susceptible to being destroyed is in the passing defense. They are currently ranked the 30th ranked passing defense. Just last week, Kirk Cousins threw for 400 yards on these guys. It's disgusting just how bad this passing defense is. And for us, we have Garrett Wilson right now, who is on a tear. This is the guy who has risen from the dead to be considered the Offensive Rookie of the Year favorite. Now, granted, Mike White was a big component and reason of that. He will not be playing this Sunday, which means now Zach Wilson has to continue in his stead to make sure that we don't lose momentum, or that Garrett doesn't lose momentum in this potential winning of the Offensive Rookie of the Year. What's crazy is, man, if y'all really stop to just take a moment and think about it, the New York Jets literally had the top 2 rated Offensive Rookie of the Year candidates. One in Breece Hall, who was far and away the favorite when he was healthy and playing. And now we've got Garrett Wilson, who has taken a pretty significant step towards winning the Offensive Rookie of the Year. This draft that the New York Jets just had is just impeccable. Like, there's no way to look at it. You've got the favorite defense in the Defensive Rookie of the Year in Sauce Gardner. You've had the favorite for the Offensive Rookie of the Year twice in Breece Hall and now in Garrett Wilson. And you're talking about individuals contributing from Max Mitchell. We're seeing Michael Clemens playing a bit bigger role. I think he will this week. I don't think Quinnen Williams is going to play. I think that injury to his calf is more impactful than we thought. He hasn't practiced all week. I don't see him being able to jump in there, although Coach Salas said, at the defensive tackle position, you don't really need to practice. You can go ahead and show up on game day, so we'll see. But nonetheless, this rookie class is one for the ages. Everybody's contributed, with the exception of Ruckert, who got a late start in training camp, and you can tell it's kind of hindered him. Although, at this point, put the kid in there for us to see what he can do. We know he can block. I kind of want to see him run a couple of routes, catch the ball, just mix it up a little bit, right? Because Conklin has been a little bit off from what we expected when we brought him on, which is kind of frustrating. He had one of the shortest set of hands in the NFL, and then, of course, he becomes a Jet, and that just goes out the window. I digress. The real question mark for the New York Jets right now in this current run is the quarterback position. Mike White showed us what this offense can look like when operating at capacity. Granted, we had issues finishing in the red zone, but the thing is, Mike White is responsible for the New York Jets getting to the red zone 1 out of every 3 drives. That was the average. Now, granted, a huge chunk of that stems from the Vikings game, right, where we got there 6 times and we only got away with 1 touchdown. But 1 out of every 3 drives Mike White has taken has ended in the red zone. That is wow. Like, that is wow. It's actually the 3rd highest clip in the NFL in terms of course, a smaller sample size, but in terms of getting to the red zone, right? That's 3rd in the NFL if you were to stretch that over a season. Patrick Mahomes does it incredibly well. And of course, the Miami Dolphins were the other one based off of big play hits that they've had thus far this year. Pretty sure that's probably shifted a little bit over the last couple of games. But looking at it like that, what can we expect from Zach Wilson? Seeing that the offense it wasn't the offense that was the issue that was stagnant. It was in fact Zach. It was Zach that was the concern. I think before Mike White, there was the question of whether or not it was Zach, whether it was the offensive play calling, whether it was the offensive line being bad. But Mike White came in there with the same exact, hindrances, and showed us what this offense is capable of doing when you have a quarterback that can go ahead and make the easy throws and can scan the field completely. So Zach Wilson, by far, is the most talented quarterback the Jets have on this roster. It's not even close. It's just not even an argument. Zach Wilson's arm talent, I believe, and I've said this thousands of times before, he has top 5, top 10 arm talent in the NFL. Whether or not his brain can put it all together, his footwork can call it, the technical aspects, the mental aspects are where he seems to lack significantly, and that's what's gotten him in trouble. But I think after you get benched for a 5th round draft pick, that's a journeyman practice squad player from Dallas now to us, a guy that we've cut a couple of times and brought back, and then yet you get benched for him, and that guy operates this offense at this capacity. At some point or another, pride has to come into play. I think you got to look at yourself as somebody with all the gifts given to you, blessed to you by God himself, and you got to ask yourself, like, how are you not maximizing these gifts, right? Zach Wilson on the Jets roster has the most mobility. He has the best arm talent, the strongest arm of any quarterback on the Jets roster. Yet, in terms of the ability to operate the offense, he's 3rd. And if you want to throw in the performances we saw from Streveler in the preseason, some would even argue that he's the 4th best in terms of being able to operate this offense to the fullest. I would go with Mike White, Joe Flacco, and then I would say Zach Wilson. Streveler hasn't shown us enough in terms of like actual games for us to feel this confident about the kid. But some would even argue that Streveler has shown more in the preseason and able to operate this offense than Zach has. And it's a very quarterback-friendly system. That's what I think is so frustrating about it, just not to see Zach Wilson really blowing up and making this thing his own. But nonetheless, he's our quarterback 1. Zach Wilson is starting for us this Sunday. We need Zach Wilson to play to his best ability, right? Is his best ability game management level? Okay, cool. Don't turn the ball over. Let's get us 150 yards, 200 yards, maybe get us a touchdown. You know what I'm saying? Don't do anything that puts the defense in jeopardy, which is what we've asked him to do pretty much, the majority of this season. And the defense is that good that I think we are able to beat the Detroit Lions. Jared Goff, when he's away from a dome and away from home and in the cold, doesn't play very well. Jared Goff is one of those quarterbacks who likes comfortable environments in order for him to function. I think right now in the season, they're 4-4 in terms of away games, or maybe it's just in his career. They're like 500. They drop from 30-something points per game to like 18 points per game. Completion percentage drops to like 50%. Like Jared Goff, the Detroit Lions are not the same team that's lighting it up in warmer weather and in or dome games when they're away from home and in the elements. So that in itself is an advantage. The Jets defense gives us an advantage. We don't have Quinnen Williams. I'm going to bet we don't have Quinnen Williams this week. But let's just shift JFM, to the center. We got Clemens coming back from illness and allow him to go ahead and play that other edge role. And I feel good about what our defense can do against their offense. Our offense against their defense, I also feel good about. Look, if Zach Wilson's going to show us that he has any kind of ability to be the starting quarterback for the NFL, and I'm not even asking for him to be a franchise quarterback. Let me be clear. Like, there are only about 5 to 10 franchise quarterbacks at any given time in the NFL. But for some reason, everybody else assumes if you're a starting quarterback on a team, it means you're a franchise guy. Not the case. Mike White is not a franchise quarterback. He's not. But yet, he has shown us what a starting caliber quarterback can do on our team with this offense. So, at any given time, there's between 5 and 10 franchise quarterbacks in the NFL. That's just the thing. The franchise quarterback is your Patrick Mahomes. It's your Joe Burrows, It's your Josh Allens, your Justin Herberts. Like, these are the guys, they are the face of the franchise. These are the guys that without them, the team can't win. Like, Honestly, take any of those guys off not playing, the team cannot win. It's improbable. So those are your franchise guys. Lamar Jackson, franchise quarterback, right? Like you see it when those guys or pieces are removed from the equation. You're like, this is a pretty generic basic team. Like these guys are franchise quarterbacks. Now, the majority of teams have starting quarterbacks, starting NFL quarterbacks, which is also this is good. Kirk Cousins is a starting NFL quarterback. You know what I'm saying? Ryan Tannehill, Jimmy Garoppolo, Derek Carr, starting NFL quarterbacks. That's what those guys are. Tua Tagovailoa, starting NFL quarterback. Mike White showed us he can be a starting NFL quarterback. Not a franchise quarterback, but a starting NFL quarterback. Zach Wilson has not even shown us that he's more than a NFL backup. We need to see him show us starting NFL quarterback play. I'm not asking for Zach Wilson to be the franchise guy. I can't. You can't do that to this kid. He hasn't shown us that he has that ability yet. So can he be a starting NFL quarterback? Whether it's a below average one, maybe he'll be an above average starting NFL quarterback. Who knows? Nonetheless, teams that can win games with starting NFL quarterbacks, right? And that's what we need to expect from Zach, or should expect from Zach. I don't know if he's the guy. I don't know if the guy is on the team. I just don't. I'm not going to be that guy that sits here and tell you that after watching Mike White for 3 games, and I believe we figured out our starting quarterback situation. I will tell you, I feel a lot more comfortable when I see Mike White throw the ball than when I see Zach Wilson throw the ball. Like when Mike throws the ball, I feel hope. I'm like, oh man, first down, touchdown, what's happening here? When Zach throws the ball, I'm like, man, just don't throw an interception. Just don't throw an interception. And that's the dynamic. That's the difference when you watch these two quarterbacks play, and that says a lot, right? If you're hoping your quarterback is just not throwing an interception when he has to go ahead and make a play, wow, right? That's telling. But if you're like, oh man, we either got the first down or maybe he found a way to get the touchdown, that's another way of looking at it, right? And you got to take that into consideration when it comes to these quarterbacks. One gives you hope, one gives you stress. Like, what are we doing? So I know Zach Wilson has a lot to prove. We don't know if the locker room has rallied around Zach. I mean, these are professionals. We should expect them to do their jobs. And I think that's going to be the case. I don't believe that the environment that we have at One Jets Drive would indicate that these guys are going to say, you know what, I hate Zach. I'm not going to ball out. I'm not going to play. If they do that, we have much bigger problems than the quarterback position. So, can the Jets win this game? Yes, the Jets can win this game with Zach Wilson at quarterback. Like I said before, my original prediction had us blowing the Lions out the water. I didn't think it was going to be close. I thought it was going to be a coming out party for Mike White. In this situation, Zach Wilson has had 3 weeks to reset. I don't know if 3 weeks is enough. I'm not going to pretend like it is. I personally think it's not enough. I think that Zach Wilson should have sat the remainder of the season, hopefully absorbed the information and realized he's just not going to be given the starting realm and the starting rights anymore because he was the number 2 overall pick. Has to be earned. But with that said, I do remember Zach Wilson coming back from injury last year and showed us all that he was trending upward. He showed us that he had the ability to go ahead and be a starting NFL quarterback. And I'm hoping that's what we get with Zach coming back now, right? Although he was injured then, he was benched now. I'm hoping him sitting back and watching for the last 3 weeks and seeing what Mike White has done with this offense, something clicks. And if something clicks, Zach Wilson should be able to at least give us the opportunity to win comfortably. If nothing clicks, I think we wind up winning a close one because the defense, I do believe, is much better than their offense is. And with that said, I predict the New York Jets to win this game 13-10. Yeah, I think it's going to be a 13-10 game. I'm predicting a rushing touchdown from the New York Jets. I'm predicting a rushing touchdown from the Detroit Lions. And then our kickers are going to go to work after that. And that's going to be us able to manage the game. The defense puts us in great positions. And I think Zach Wilson is going to have a turnover-free game. Ultimately, he hovers around 150 yards. You know what I'm saying? Maybe he's the one rushing in for that touchdown. Or maybe it's a little, maybe he does a little dump off screen pass for that touchdown, right? One way or another, I think it's a one touchdown game for the New York Jets with a couple of free throws to win it. And I don't know if that it gives us enough to know what we're going to expect from Zach going up against the Jacksonville Jaguars the following week. So one game at a time. New York Jets do get the W. Compliments of our defense. Zach Wilson playing, complimentary game management style football. And hope I'm wrong. Let me be clear. I hope I'm wrong. I hope Zach Wilson comes out there and he's like, I got nothing else to lose. You know what I'm saying? Like Mike White's nipping at my heels. I'm gonna go out here, ball out like I'm playing backyard football or whatever, and then just go out there and ball out. Go for 300 plus, tutties. You know what I'm saying? Like gain the confidence back in your wide receivers and your playmakers, so they know like, oh crap, okay, cool. We've got, you know what I'm saying, potentially 2 quarterbacks that can start right now, and don't hinder the team. I hope that's what happens. But I mean, unfortunately, historically speaking, like that's gonna be a long shot. That'd be a long shot. So with that said, 13-10, New York Jets get the win, and then we start prepping for the freaking Jaguars. Yeah. Hey, do me a favor, don't forget to like and subscribe. Apparently, I don't ask you guys enough to like and subscribe. The majority of you guys watching the video right now are not my subscribers. I got 22% viewer. Well, I guess the majority of you are my subscribers, but 22% of viewers are not subscribed. I assure you, I put out good content weekly. In the holiday period has kind of slowed me down in terms of doing more than one video per week. However, I will be getting back to that as we're getting past the Christmas time frame, especially hopefully going through the playoffs. A lot to be excited about and to look forward to and to talk about. So with that said, like and subscribe. Trying to get to 1,000 subscribers so I can go ahead and do a big giveaway to my first 1,000 subscribers. 3 items being put out there for you guys. Again, you know what they are. You've got the AVT autographed helmet. You've got the Darrelle Revis autographed mini helmet, and then you've got the Stock Exchange autographed mini helmet as well. So let's get to 1,000. I can go ahead and pretty much pick 3 winners. And get that out to you guys as soon as possible. So that said, go Jets. I'm a Jets fan first, Players fan second, and I really hope that Zach Wilson. Let me be clear. It would also be beneficial for the Jets if Zach Wilson winds up being the guy. Like financially speaking, like the way the whole system works, it can make us contenders for a long time if Zach Wilson winds up being the guy. So I'm rooting for his success, but also I'm looking at it like, man, it is a long shot. And I think that's a realistic and fair analysis and analogy to have when it comes to him, especially when you see that other quarterbacks on our team has operated this offense at a much higher level. All right. Go Jets.